Hi, I'm Professor Ray Coca. Welcome back to Principles of Management. Today, we are going to talk about the organization's environment.
Understanding the organization's environment. These are the learning outcomes for today. Today, I am going to discuss the nature of the organizational environment and identify the environments of interest to most organizations. I am also going to describe the components of the general and task environments and discuss their impact on organizations. Today, I am going to identify the components of the internal environment and discuss their impact on organizations. Today, I'm also going to discuss the importance and determinants of an organization's culture and how the culture can be managed. I'm also going to describe the multicultural environment of business and identify major trends and dimensions of diversity and multiculturalism. And finally, today I'm going to identify and describe how the environment affects organizations and how organizations adapt to their environment. The organization's environments are composed of the external environment and the internal environment. The external environment is everything outside an organization's boundaries that might affect it. The internal environment is the conditions and forces within an organization. There are actually two separate external environments: the general environment and the task environment. The general environment is the set of broad dimensions and forces in an organization's surroundings that create its overall context. The task environment is specific organizations or groups that influence an organization. The general environment of an organization consists of economic, technological, sociocultural, political, legal, and international dimensions. In the general environment, the economic dimension is the overall health and vitality of the economic system in which the organization operates. The technological dimension is the methods available for converting resources into products or services. The sociocultural dimension is the customs, morals, values, and demographic characteristics of society. The political legal dimension is the government regulation of business and the relationship between business and government. The international dimension is the extent to which an organization is involved in or affected by businesses in other countries.
A good example of the economic dimension is that if the economy is good and money is flowing, then people have money to spend, and they go ahead and spend it at McDonald's, at the grocery store, and the grocery stores now have money to pay their employees. So if the economy is good, then that affects organizations in a positive way. An example of technological dimension is that if there is new technology that is invented or a new process to produce something that is invented, then that is going to affect the organization positively. An example of the social cultural dimension is that depending on changes in society and the culture, that's going to change how businesses and organizations run. If the society is starting to look more into the fitness trend and to lose weight, then that's going to affect how food companies are going to operate. They might come out with some kind of like a low calorie food. The example of the political dimension is that if there are new laws that are passed, that could affect a business and organization. Recently, a law that was passed was that it required food restaurants to go ahead and have to post their nutritional information. So McDonald's had to adjust and they had to post their nutritional information of their food. An example of the international dimension is that some businesses make most of their money selling to other countries. McDonald's, for instance, makes 66% of their revenue from the from their sales that they make outside of the USA. So that is a way that the international dimension affects businesses.
The task environment includes competitors, customers, suppliers, strategic partners, and regulators. In Figure 3.3, it shows McDonald's task environment. Some of the competitors include Burger King, Starbucks, and Subway. Some of the customers are individual customers or institutional customers. Some of the suppliers for McDonald's are Coca-Cola, wholesale food processors, and packaging manufacturers. Some strategic partners of McDonald's are Walmart, Disney, and some foreign partners. Some regulators of McDonald's are the Food and Drug Administration, Securities and Exchange Commission, and Environmental Protections Agency. In the task environment, a competitor is an organization that competes with other organizations for resources. A customer is whoever pays money to acquire an organization's products or services. A supplier is an organization that provides resources for other organizations. And a strategic partner, also called strategic ally, is an organization working together with one or more other organizations in a joint venture or similar arrangement. In the task environment, a regulator is a unit that has the potential to control, legislate, or otherwise influence the organization's policies and practices. A regulatory agency is an agency created by the government to regulate business activities. An interest group is a group organized by its members to attempt to influence business. An organization's internal environment consists of their owners, board of directors, employees, physical work environments, and cultures. In the internal environment, an owner is whoever can claim property rights to an organization. The board of directors is the governing body elected by a corporation's stockholders and charged with overseeing the general management of the firm to ensure that it is being run in a way that best serves the stockholders' interest. In the internal environment, employee issues include a workforce becoming increasingly diverse in gender, ethnicity, age, and other dimensions. It has also increased reliance on temp workers. Another issue is labor unions add a complex layer. Physical work environment issues include location, design, and layout. The organization's culture defies objective measurement or observation, yet is the foundation of the internal environment. An organization culture is the set of values, beliefs, behaviors, customs, and attitudes that helps the members of the organization understand what it stands for, how it does things, and what it considers important.
An example of organization culture is Southwest Airlines. They like to bring excitement and fun to their organization, and their employees really like it. Another example is Google. They're very innovative and they treat their employees really well. They have nap pods and they also have free food for their employees.
The importance of organizational culture is that it can shape the firm's effectiveness and long-term success and increase productivity. The determinants of organizational culture is that it develops over a long period of time. It often starts with the founder, and it includes such things as corporate success and shared experiences. Managers must understand current culture. If it is in the best interest of the firm, managers should reward behavior consistent with the culture. If current culture needs changing, managers must identify the culture they prefer. They also need to bring in outsiders, adopt new slogans, and tell new stories to support the new culture. Multiculturalism is the broad issues associated with differences in values, beliefs, behaviors, customs, and attitudes held by people in different cultures. Diversity exists in a group or organization when its members differ from one another along one or more important dimensions, such as age, gender, or ethnicity. Organization culture, multiculturalism, and diversity are closely related concepts. Figure 3.4 displays reasons for increasing diversity and multiculturalism. The reasons are changing demographics in the labor force, increased awareness that diversity improves the quality of the workforce, legislation and legal action, and the globalization movement. The most fundamental trend is that all organizations are becoming more diverse and multicultural. Some dimensions of diversity and multiculturalism is that the average age is increasing. There are increasing numbers of females in the workforce, despite the glass ceiling, which is a perceived barrier that keeps women from advancing to top management. Ethnicity. The ethnic composition of a group or organization continues to increase. Figure 3.5 displays ethnicity distribution trends in the U.S. The greatest increase in expected growth is within the Hispanic population. Other diversity dimensions that are trending are physical mobility, religion, single parents, dual career marriages, alternative lifestyles, vegetarianism, and political ideologies. Some trends in multicultural differences are that some organizations actively enhance their multiculturalism. Soon, all companies may become multicultural due to changes in the external labor market. U.S. immigration is at its highest rate since 1910. Regarding organization and environment relationships, organizations are open systems and interact with various dimensions in many different ways. First, we're going to talk about how environments affect organizations. Second, we're going to talk about how organizations adapt to their environments. So how environments affect organizations, you can see it through three basic perspectives. 1, environmental change and complexity. 2, competitive forces. And finally, environmental turbulence. Figure 3.6 displays environmental change, complexity, and uncertainty. It measures the degrees of homogeneity and change combined to create uncertainty. On the y-axis, you see the degree of homogeneity from being simple or complex. On the x-axis, you can see the degree of change, whether the organization is dynamic or stable.
Some examples of least uncertain companies would be Taco Bell and Subway, because they're very simple and they're very stable. They know what kind of customer is going to come in. It's going to be somebody that's hungry and wants the food that's on the menu. And they are very stable because they offer the same kind of menu. They might make some slight changes, but the menu stays consistent. An example of most uncertain companies would be clothing companies and also music companies, because they're very complex and they're very dynamic. It changes often and the kind of customer changes often.
The environment affects organizations through competitive forces. Michael Porter defined the 5 competitive forces. Threat of new entrants. This is the ease of entering the market. Competitive rivalry. This is the rivalry between firms in the same industry. Threat of substitute products. This can other products work just as well? Power of buyers. This is the extent buyers influence suppliers. Power of suppliers. This is the extent suppliers influence buyers. Environmental turbulence consists of changes in the environment which may or may not be expected. Crisis is the most common form of turbulence. Some organizations have developed a crisis team or plan.
An example of environmental turbulence would be a natural disaster such as a hurricane. It would force businesses to close for a long time, therefore they don't get no money, and it can really hurt their income.
Figure 3.7 displays how organizations adapt to their environments. These are the 6 basic mechanisms through which organizations adapt to their environments. There's information management, strategic response, mergers, acquisitions, and alliances, organization design and flexibility, direct influence, and also social responsibility. Information management can take several forms. There's boundary spanner, that's someone who spends much of their time with others outside the organization. There's environmental scanning, that's monitoring the environment through observation and reading. And there is information systems, that's electronic systems which gather, organize, and summarize information. Strategic response is realizing something has changed and determining what action, if any, is needed.
An example of a boundary spanner is a salesperson. A salesperson spends a lot of time with people that are outside of the company.
Let's talk about mergers, acquisitions, and alliances. A merger occurs when 2 or more firms combine to form a new firm. An acquisition occurs when one firm buys another. Most are friendly. A hostile takeover occurs when one firm buys another against its will. In an alliance, also known as a partnership, the firm undertakes a new venture with another firm.
An example of a merger is when Delta Airlines merged with Northwest Airlines to create a new company. An example of acquisition is when Starbucks acquired the British Seattle Coffee Company so it can make expanding globally faster.
Organization design and flexibility involves how an organization designs its structure. An organization directly influences the environment by signing long-term contracts, vertically integrating, lowering price, which affects competitors, creating new products, and also lobbying and bargaining.
A highly uncertain company needs to structure with flexibility so they can adapt to the dynamic environment.
In conclusion, today I defined the environments organizations face, including external, both general and task, and internal, including organization culture. I talked about multiculturalism and diversity. I closed with how organizations affect and adapt to their environments. I included the 5 competitive forces.
If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me.